Hello everyone, this is Kosiorek with another episode of Cadet Chat with Dr. K. We have a very special guest today, Mr. Steve Sorensen. He is a new assistant principal at Merton Williams, but not new to the Cadet Nation. So just want to take a little time and welcome you to today's episode and talk a little bit about yourself. We know that you're a Hilton graduate and you've been a longtime teacher and coach for the district before you've taken this new role. So tell us a little bit about your experience as a student here at Hilton.
Well, it started in 1974.
All right.
So in 1974, I was a kindergarten Mrs. Roy's class in Hazel Jenkins Elementary. Age and myself, it's before the two buildings were put together.
Certainly.
And then graduated in 1987 as a Hilton graduate. I was a student athlete. Even during the summers, I was a B&G worker.
Awesome.
So I'm now teacher, former teacher, now administrator, coach. I think when I retire, I want to drive a bus so I can hit all departments. But yeah, I've done quite a bit here.
Yeah, well, tell us a little bit about your time as an athlete, a student athlete in the district. What sports did you play?
Played soccer and some basketball, which I turned around and coached while I was here too also. Played soccer for the legendary Coach Bud Rose. Played basketball for Ori Me through JV. Did not play my senior year. Didn't play varsity, but so I played soccer and basketball, and just a regular student athlete. Nothing special. Wasn't all red roster or anything, but just worked hard and learned the lessons that sports can teach you.
Well, you really represent the Hilton kid and the Hilton athlete. You know, certainly we do have those all-stars, but I think sometimes we lose the importance of what it is to be a team and all the different roles on a team. So I really appreciate you sharing that side of things and the importance that everybody plays in getting those teams to a championship, or just the life lessons that athletics can provide us. So you've been in many different roles. I'll hit with the positive first. What are the great things through your lens about the district?
My family moved to Hilton in 1971. So, we've been part of the Hilton community for well over 50 years and gone to school here. And Hilton's a small town. It's actually big as far as school district goes, but it's got that small town feel. And it's got that a lot of pride in Hilton. And Hilton pride, I think, is something really special about Hilton. My family is, I take a lot of pride not only what Hilton means, but, my mother was a former school board member here and teacher here, and we've worked with the Hilton Parma Recreation for years in their commission. There's something about, you want to give back to this community. I think that's why you see so many teachers in the district who were former students and want to give back to this district, and they love it, and they have a tremendous pride for Hilton. And I think that's really what distinguishes Hilton, probably more so than many other communities.
Absolutely. So if you had a magic wand and you could create any environment you want or have any impact on the district, what's something that you would do to take a great district and move it even further into greatness?
I think we're heading in that direction. I think academically we are, on the front end of what a lot of districts are doing, and that always hasn't been the case. It's something that's said, but I take a lot of pride in it that we're a destination district. People come to Hilton because of the schools and the academics especially, and I take tremendous pride in that. And I think we're heading there, and we're continuing to innovate and continue to push the levels and the boundaries. And as long as we're continually trying to get better, it's like an athletic thing. No matter where you're at and how well your team may be performing, unless you're continually trying to push those boundaries and get better every day, there's no stagnant. There's only going forward or going backwards, and we're continually trying to push forward. And I think that's something that I know the people who work in the Hilton Central School District feel that way, and the people who are part of the Hilton Central School District, they feel that way also.
One of the things as I got to know you as I entered the district that I always admired about you is you didn't start out like some of our traditional educators. Often people will go to college, they'll student teach, and they're in education.
Right.
So you took a little different path. And what I admire about that is you bring different perspective to the public school system through that. So can you tell me a little bit about your journey in becoming an educator?
So I wasn't the model student. I was somebody who struggled, and when I graduated high school, I wasn't, although I took AP Calculus in high school and took the Regents classes and some advanced classes, I wasn't somebody who was knocking out of the park, was not a candidate for valedictorian, but I was a student and unfortunately, I was also not a student that had what we call the approaches to learning nowadays. I didn't have that growing up or going through the school, and so when I went to college, I didn't do well, but I found myself working in a factory, a General Motors factory, and really determining that I have to make a change. And I developed a work ethic that allowed me to work 50, 60 hours a week, and then go to school at night, sometimes 12 hours, some credit hours a semester. Graduated from SUNY Brockport, went on to go to school at night at Roberts Wesleyan to get my master's and my student teaching in there. And I was fortunate that when I did my student teaching, I did it right here in Hilton, and a position opened up right away, and I transitioned right into education. But again, my path was not an easy path of my own doing, but it was something that's taught me a work ethic, and it's also taught me how to, show grace with students as they have their struggles, and that their life's path is not determined at age 18 or throughout school, that they can develop those skills that will help them be successful in the next phase of their life.
Well, Steve, I think that that's such an important message for our students and our families, is that it isn't always going to be a clear path, and that isn't what life is about. Life is about learning and challenges, and just as you mentioned a little bit about your athletic career, we all get to our places in different ways, and we all play important different roles. So thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that with us. So talking a little bit about your development, who have been some important influences to you in your life, and then also in your path as an educator?
Well, it's both. It's my parents. My mother was a teacher. So if you asked me when I was 8 years old what I wanted to do, it was to be a teacher and a coach. And it's always been that, despite the decade U-turn or off-road path I took. But it's not only that. My parents have also taught me the importance of leadership. Like I said, my mother was a member of the school board. It's almost like it's not enough to just take on these roles, but also be leaders amongst your colleagues if you can do it. And it's been a leadership quality that my parents have instilled in my brothers and myself. I have 3 brothers, and I think it's a legacy of my parents. I've told them that as they're in their 80s now, and that we all take on leadership roles, whether it be in education when I was a teacher or head of the social studies department. If you've got the ability, and you should want to take on those leadership opportunities, and it's what we've done.
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, you've been here as a student, you've been here as a teacher, you're now in your new role as an assistant principal. What are some of the challenges you've experienced in the classroom working with some of our students here in this community?
Challenges. There's academic issues for all students that, some things we have strengths, we have weaknesses, with things we can work on. And that's identifying those weaknesses or things that we can help kids improve. I think which is always important is let kids know that you're there to help them. It's the same thing I deal with my own kids. It's like my daughters have strengths and weaknesses, and we try to identify, okay, what can we work on, and what can we do better, and what's a pathway in which we do that. And it's some great conversations I've had with my students, but it's also with my own kids. And then, celebrating, make sure we celebrate those victories when we have it. But, challenges for kids, my message is always to kids is that, give enough time, effort, we can overcome, and we can find our own path. And again, I'm a great example of maybe not the non-traditional path. So it's okay.
Absolutely. So now you've transitioned into this assistant principalship. How's the transition been going?
It's a learning experience. Everything's a learning experience. I mean, I did this because I've taken on a little bit of leadership roles through the years. I was the liaison for the social studies department, then the program coordinator. Then I went through the program for education administration, and I feel like I've got to continue to grow, and that's part of the growth process. I don't want to be stagnant. And so to take this on now, I'm learning a lot of different perceptions or people's lens at which they look at things. I have to look at things through a different lens, so it's growth for me. The challenges, I have a benefit in that I've been at Merton Williams for 17 years prior. So I've built a lot of relationships with people. And the people at Merton Williams have been pretty good with me, pretty good with grace and patience. But they know I'm going to work hard. And I think, I'm learning things every day. And right now it's uncomfortable for me. It's uncomfortable because this is a role that I've not taken on before. And, they say the greatest growth happens when you're uncomfortable. Well, I'm hoping because
So you're growing.
I'm pretty uncomfortable right now.
Awesome. What would you want other people to know about the role of assistant principal? So we always see administration or an AP from the classroom. I was also a teacher, and I always thought I knew what an assistant principal did, and then I really didn't know until I got into that position. So is there anything else that you think people should know about your role as assistant principal?
Well, I'm no expert 6 weeks in, so. But when we talk about leadership, and I do a lot of reading on leadership. I did as a coach. It's a little bit of a hobby and a lot of podcasts on leadership. It's the quick answer of what kind of leader are you? And it's like, oh, I'm a servant leader, and they use servant leadership so often, and I don't know if people really understand what that means. And it's something that I try to do only 6 weeks in. Is I really want to be there for students, for teachers, for staff, for the community. My role is sometimes the leadership roles we think of as being hierarchical, and we've got that paradigm of leadership is hierarchical. But I think leadership, when it's at its best, is when you're serving, and serving for the people that you work with, and the community that you work for.
Great. Now you alluded to this a little bit earlier, but can you tell us, help us get to know you a little bit better on a personal note outside of your professional day?
I'm the husband to Kelly and dad to Delaney Nealon.
Awesome.
And with any new position, I'm trying to balance that work life, responsibilities, and being older. I am older, and having kids in my 40s. Yeah. And I get the benefit of learning from friends of mine and family who had kids younger, and listening to them how fast it goes, and you'll miss it when it's gone. And so I try to live every day with my daughters and my wife, and cherish every day, and help hopefully be an example to them when it comes to education, how important this is, but how much of really a lifestyle is. And my daughters, especially my oldest, grew up on the soccer field. She was at every game, home game for when I coached soccer, and came across the field after games with the players, and we hosted soccer picnics at my house, and my daughters had a blast, and they've gone to dances where they're with the middle schoolers on the dance floor, and they hopefully, and I believe this to be true, are really learning that this isn't a job that we do, it's a lifestyle. It's who we are, and my daughters are really loving it. My wife works at RAT, and so it's education there too. It's who we are.
Well said, Mr. Sorensen. What are some of the things that you do to recharge?
Recharge, spend time with my daughters and my wife. When I can. I do a little bit of golf. It's sports is something I did a lot of when I coached, but. I get that chance to sometimes still be part of the athletic department here, but also get that opportunity to live out some of my Tony Romo thoughts when I get to call some games for varsity media. It's a lot of fun. Those kind of times to just I'm not it's funny because I work usually with Chris Maffaletto or Bill Smith, and they will say, hey, we're here with the coach Steve Sorensen. I'm like, they're still calling me the coach. It's like I don't want to let them in on the secret, but it's been a couple of years since I've coached. But it's like that's fun. Golf is fun. We try to separate as much as we can, but that's always a little bit of a challenge too.
Yeah, one of my favorite broadcasting moments for you was I believe it was a basketball game. I don't know if it was girls or boys, but there was inclement weather coming in, and the question got asked to you as you color commentated, like, "Will there be a snow day tomorrow?" And you handled that with such a nice job, very classy. Because I'm watching it at home, going, "Oh boy, what are we going to say here?" I'm hoping for a snow day for the students and the staff, but you always do a fine job with that, I know the community really appreciates it, and with our relationship with Varsity Media and prior to that as well, being able to have the opportunity for so many of the Cadet faithful from around the country and beyond being able to log on and watch games. And we've had so many great student athletes throughout the years, and now there's an opportunity for a family member in another part of the country to be able to enjoy that. So you've been able to bring a lot of great joy to people across the world, so thank you. So just closing out in this very special interview, is there anything that I missed that you'd like to share with our audience today?
No, I just think this is a great opportunity for us to reach out to the community and let people know that we're more than just administrators or teachers or district employees. That we're people, and and know that we take a lot of pride in this community, and that's the case certainly for me. Is that although I've changed my roles over the years. It's just the Hilton community is special, and it'll always be. And there's a lot of examples of how. My wife will tell you that she would love to have seen a picture of my daughters being born where I wasn't wearing a Cadet polo shirt, or that if you go to my closet and you look at all the merchandise that I have, that I could probably go 2 months of school without duplicating any of my Hilton Cadet merchandise. But that's probably more of a problem, me not being able to get rid of clothes too. So
Wow.
We'll deal with it.
Yeah, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy day. It's so great to talk to one of the truest cadets that is here, not only as a student, as a teacher, and now as an administrator, just emulating the great pride and being a great role model for our students.
Well, I appreciate that.
We greatly appreciate what you do for our community and most importantly our students. So thank you for being here today. You've been a very awesome guest on our show. So I appreciate it. So once again, I'd like to thank Mr. Sorensen for being here and sharing a view into the assistant principalship, and then also in his journey during his time from being a student to an assistant principal here in the district. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in to Cadet Chat with Dr. K. Thank you very much. Have a great day.